All right, good afternoon. My name is CW2 Kevin Brown, and today I'll be discussing a major issue facing the Army and the overall health of our soldiers, and that is alcohol and prescription pain medication abuse. The purpose of this discussion today is to provide a brief overview of substance abuse, as well as inform and educate soldiers and Army leaders of the problem with substance abuse within the Army. Throughout the brief, I will highlight a few possible factors that may lead to substance abuse, the issues and warning signs, as well as cover a few of the possible treatment options that are available to soldiers who may be suffering from substance abuse related issues. For our agenda today, I'll discuss substance abuse, the factors that may lead to substance abuse, a few of the issues and warning signs of substance abuse, as well as cover a few treatment options available. In the next slide, we're going to see a short video from CNN that discusses the issues with substance abuse in the military.
New report now recommends changes in how the military treats and prevents substance abuse. It says that binge drinking and prescription drug abuse, they're both on the rise. Elizabeth Cohen joins us to talk a little bit about why this is such a big problem. What are we seeing?
You know, it's interesting. Illicit drug use seems to be going down in the military, but as you said, binge drinking, prescription drug abuse up. So let's take a look at the numbers to try to put this in some context. So when they looked at this back in 1998, they found that 35% of active military had engaged in binge drinking, which means 5 or more drinks at a time over the course of the past month. And then in 2008, that number went up to 47%. So almost half of the people included in this study had engaged in binge drinking in the past
Why
month.
do they suppose this is happening? Why is this getting worse?
Right, they're seeing prescription drug abuse also going up, and they think the reason why, I mean not necessarily this report, but in general, the reason why is just that there's more stress. There are more overseas commitments now. There are the numbers from 2 to 11% for prescription drug abuse. More overseas commitments leads to more stress. For time away from your family, I mean, all of that, and a lot of people point to that as the reason behind these numbers.
Does the report recommend anything that can be done?
They do. There are 2 specific things that they recommend, and the first is more confidential treatment options, because, you know, if a military person goes to their doctor, that doctor is going to report that to the commanding officer, so more confidential treatments, and also long-term use of methadone. Right now, TRICARE, which is the insurance, doesn't cover long-term use of methadone as a maintenance medication. And so it was recommended that they start doing that.
All right. Elizabeth Cohen, thank you.
Thanks.
For more about dealing with substance abuse issues, you can go to cnn.com/empoweredpatient.
So what is substance abuse? Well, there are a few different definitions that describe substance abuse. But the one that I found that was more in line with this discussion describes substance abuse as the excessive use of a substance such as alcohol or narcotics. In terms of pain medication, a majority of pain medications are considered opioids or opiates, which is just another term for narcotics. So when looking at the topic of substance abuse within the Army, it's not hard to figure out that alcohol is the #1 substance abuse or substance being abused by our soldiers. So why do you think that is? For one, it's readily available. New soldiers entering the Army are between the ages of 17 and 25. Most arrive to their first duty station not knowing anyone or use alcohol as a social means to meet or bond with other soldiers within their unit. Although the legal drinking age is 21, underage soldiers will still consume alcohol to show that they are willing to be one of the guys, which leads us to the next point of being socially acceptable. Alcohol is becoming more and more socially acceptable, and it's part of the military culture. Alcohol has always been part of the military culture. You can see it from leader gatherings to more formal events such as military balls. Take the Field Artillery St. Barb's Ball, for example. The grog ceremony at the St. Barb's Ball is a highlighted event where anywhere between 8 to 10 members of unit senior leadership will pour a whole bottle of liquor or six-pack of beer into a giant bowl, with each one of the items representing something relating to the field artillery, including soldiers and their family members. While these types of events are supposed to honor the field artillery branch, some view it as a means to drink as much as they can, or even get as drunk as they can, and that's where it really becomes an issue. Overall, soldiers drink for a variety of reasons. Some drink to relax or even relieve stress, which is fine if done in moderation. However, in the more serious and less obvious cases, soldiers drink because they're depressed or even lonely. Soldiers may also turn to alcohol to suppress memories or combat-related stress, or even cope with post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD, which isn't hard really to understand after the 12-plus years of fighting the wars in both Iraq and Afghanistan. One of the biggest reasons that soldiers don't seek help for substance abuse is the stigma that's associated with seeking help. A majority of the soldiers believe that seeking help is a sign of weakness, or that it will in some way hurt their Army career, which just isn't true. Pain medication abuse is becoming more and more of a problem. As more and more soldiers suffer combat-related injuries, they are given narcotic pain medications in an effort to ease their pain. One of the biggest issues with this is that narcotic pain medications can be highly addictive, and thus come with an increased risk of being abused. A couple of the most common pain medications available are Oxycontin and Vicodin. As you can see from the numbers below, the amount of prescriptions written for those two medications have severely increased between the years of 2001 and 2012. An issue that soldiers face, which is one that was described in the first video, is that soldiers who have had these pain medications prescribed to them for an extended period of time and are no longer able to take them have really nothing to fall back on in order to ease the symptoms of withdrawal from these medications. Because of this, some soldiers often seek out other means in an effort to obtain whatever pain medication they were prescribed from other doctors outside of the military. So what are the factors that lead to substance abuse? There are a variety of different factors that may lead soldiers down the road of substance abuse. Throughout my research, I chose a few factors that I believe to be related to the military and other military associated stress. One of these factors, of these factors, I divided them into two different risk categories, which are moderate risk factors and high risk factors. The two factors are not really based on any factual evidence, but are, at least through my research, ones that I determined to meet my own self-perceived ideas of what a moderate or a high risk factor would be. Simply meaning that these factors can be interchangeable. So let's discuss some of these factors. Listed in the moderate risk category, we have disciplinary actions, pending deployment, injuries, and other work-related stress. These factors are what I would describe as being normal stress. This stress could be self-induced, like getting in trouble, or event-based, such as a pending deployment. These factors are those that I would consider ones that could be easily or easy to recover from, or ones that shouldn't really pose a significant risk of substance abuse. On the other hand, the items that I listed as high risk do pose a significant risk of substance abuse issues. Such areas as post-traumatic stress disorder, commonly referred to as PTSD, traumatic brain injury or TBI, or combat-related injuries. Usually those that result from either loss of limb or eyesight, and depression are all what I would consider to be a gateway to the use and abuse of either alcohol, pain medications, or both. These factors are just a few examples that soldiers and leaders should be aware of if they suspect themselves or their soldiers of having a substance abuse issue. So let's take a look at some of the issues and warning signs of alcohol, while keeping in mind that some of these issues, as well as other issues not listed, may not easily be recognizable. So the first one is habitual drinking or occasional binge drinking that causes recurrent social, work, financial, legal, or health problems. An example of this could be a stellar soldier who all of a sudden is starting to have multiple legal issues, or has in some way changed with really no explanation as to why. Although these are issues associated with substance abuse, these could also be considered as warning signs of a possible substance abuse problem. The second one uses alcohol repeatedly under circumstances which are physically dangerous, such as driving while intoxicated. The issue with this behavior is what I would consider to be the most dangerous for the soldier as well as everyone around them. Driving while intoxicated may not be as obvious unless they're pulled over. However, this is something that can be totally preventable, such as using the buddy system to use as a designated driver. Many people who abuse alcohol eventually become dependent or alcohol dependent. This is what I would consider as a fact. The difference between those who abuse alcohol and those who are addicted is based on their dependency on alcohol. Those who can't function without alcohol are addicted or dependent. Those who are not dependent but continue to abuse alcohol by consuming high amounts at a time, commonly referred to as binge drinking, can become alcohol dependent. Some of the warning signs are drinking alone and having a high tolerance. Consuming alcohol normally is considered to be a social event. However, if a soldier is known for being one who likes to drink alone, this could be a sign of abuse, but it isn't always the case. On the other hand, soldiers who boast and brag about having a high tolerance for alcohol may have an issue with alcohol abuse, simply being that alcohol is just like any other drug. The more you take, the higher your tolerance will become, leading one to consume more and more to achieve the same effect. When looking at issues and warning signs of pain medication abuse, there are more obvious and observable signs that may lead one to suspect a soldier of abuse. These can range from a change in attitude, personality, with no other identifiable cause, general lack of motivation, energy, or self-esteem, frequent twisting of the jaw back and forth, and slow or staggering walk, or poor physical condition. Again, if leaders know their soldiers and know what type of medications they are taking, such signs as listed above should be easily recognizable and should be a cause of concern. On the other hand, the warning signs of prescription pain medication abuse may not be as easily identifiable. Such signs, as listed below, may be done discreetly in an effort to hide them from their leaders or even other soldiers. Such instances as seeking prescriptions from more than one doctor, commonly referred to as doctor shopping, continually losing prescriptions, so more must be written, or taking higher doses than prescribed. In the next slide, we'll see an example of why soldiers use and abuse alcohol and/or other drugs, and the type of the type of help that may be available to them.
Outdated approaches and barriers to care are preventing servicemen and women from getting help with substance abuse. This, according to the Institute of Medicine. ABC News Channel 20's Kimberly Howard is live in our newsroom. And Kimberly, the percentage of those who are affected by this, that's also on the rise?
Marion, the most recent data available is from 2008. It says the percentage of military men and women who binge drink has jumped to 12% in the 10 years before, and about 11% of active duty members admitted to doing drugs, when it was just 2% just 6 years before. We took a look at this issue here locally, as well as the treatment options that are available.
I was drinking and drugging and didn't care what happened to me. I didn't care. I never made a suicide attempt, but I didn't care if I died from it. Didn't matter.
Nothing mattered after Ryan Scott lost his best friend overseas.
Constantly asking myself if I was there, could I have done something?
Scott was deployed to Iraq in 2004. For 18 months, his best friend was killed while he was on leave, plunging him into a world of darkness.
Sometimes wish it was me instead of him, because he had a lot going for him.
But Scott has a lot going for him too. He wants to go to culinary school and open his own restaurant.
Good home-style cooking.
Once his treatment at Gateway Foundation is complete.
A lot of time in groups.
Scott says the 41 days he spent here have been about him. He keeps only a book of George Carlin jokes and letters from his family.
They're the only reason I'm still here today.
Clinical psychologist Brittany Thomas-Otino says she's not surprised service members turn to alcohol and drugs.
It's a stressful environment that they're in. They're constantly under pressure. They have to be hypervigilant. There's a threat of death at any moment in time.
And when soldiers come home, that feeling doesn't go away. State of Illinois National Guard Captain Dutch Grove says substance abuse is brought up every year during briefings.
Helps identify the issues and what some of the triggers and causes are, and what the resources are to get help.
He says out of the hundreds of local National Guard members, about 2 seek substance abuse treatment a year. And when the programs at Camp Lincoln aren't enough, they refer them to places like Gateway Foundation. Thomas-Otino says if insurance doesn't cover treatment, government help is available. What's most important is that service members don't give up hope.
I can see there's a bright road ahead. I just have to take that road. I have to do what I have to do in order to make my life better.
Doctors say if you have sought treatment and it didn't work, that doesn't mean you shouldn't try again. They say there are a variety of methods, and it's important to find one tailored to you. Live in the newsroom, Kimberly Howard, ABC News Channel 20.
So when discussing treatment options, there are a wide variety of treatment options that are available to soldiers who are suffering from substance abuse. A few of these options are provided by organizations such as the United States Department of Veteran Affairs, or the VA, the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, or the Army's Substance Abuse Program. Most of the treatment available consists of counseling in either individual or group settings, treatment, intervention, recovery plans that are designed to help those suffering from substance abuse to get the help they need in an effort to help them overcome their substance abuse issues. Those that are listed here are just a few examples. They're not the only options. If soldiers are not able to get the help that they need through the use of these programs, there are other options available. So in summary, we've discussed substance abuse and what it is. We've highlighted a few of the factors as well as the issues and warning signs. And we've also highlighted a few of the treatment options that are available to soldiers in need. However, one of the biggest factors that remain are that soldiers do not seek help for their substance abuse issues is the stigma that is associated with seeking or asking for help. Soldiers do not want to admit that they have a problem. They want to believe that they are in control and believe that asking for help is a sign of weakness. it's important that all soldiers and leaders learn and understand that asking for help does not show weakness. Rather, it's a show of strength to identify the problem and then take the necessary steps to get help to overcome this issue. In a message from the Secretary of the Army, it states that the most important thing that we do is take care of soldiers, civilians, and families. However, the obvious stress of 10 years of war in 2 theaters, inadequate dwell time at home to recover and reconstitute, and a myriad of attendant issues like high suicide rates, stress on families and communities, and a rising number of non-deployable soldiers have real implications for the Army today and in the future. In conclusion, the Army needs every soldier to perform at their very best. By understanding the dangers of substance abuse and recognizing the issues and warning signs, soldiers and leaders can help prevent substance abuse related issues, as well as assist soldiers in getting the help that they need and deserve. So pending any questions, this concludes my brief.